Hi. I told you guys I would be back, and here I am back again. Today, I am wearing my Loading Her merch. This is the Hustle Empower Rise shirt, her, with the little logo on the side. Be sure to get you guys one or seven, whatever you're into. So, I hope you guys are having a good week. I have been having an okay week. I have been, I don't know, in my head, I guess, a little bit recently. As I said that I was feeling shy on the last episode, it's not so much of that, and it's not as severe as something like depression, but I just catch myself not feeling like I'm up for it. And I have to force myself, just bumped my face on the on the microphone. I have to force myself some days to look at the bigger picture, the bigger goal, because obviously what you do every day is what builds your long-term success, in my opinion. And as much as I preach it's okay to have off days and rest and, you know, it's also important to stay on task. And I've been thinking about it because I just haven't really felt like doing it, you know? I do a lot on my day to day, even if it is an off day. There's a lot that goes into my off day because I'm not actually off. But that's fine. I'm okay with that because that's part of owning businesses and being an entrepreneur, and I like that part of it. But some days I wake up and I'm just like, I don't want to do it. But you know what keeps me going? It's those long-term goals. It's like it's almost like my everyday my feeling just one day is so minuscule in the grand scheme of things for my long-term growth that I'm looking for that I have to just set that aside and be like, look at the big picture. You know what I mean? It's important to do the things that you have to do on your in your day to day when you're building a business and when you're trying to build a future for yourself. So I guess I'm just trying to say that the bigger picture is built by all these smaller pictures, smaller clips of life, essentially. And you're going to have to recharge and rest in between some of it, but still your everyday habits and the things that you do are what are going to create that big picture and to manifest itself into whatever it is that you're looking for out of life. And it's hard when you get, because I'll go through these phases where I'm determined and driven and inspired, and I'm just like, hell yeah, let's go do it. Let's go get it. And then some days I'm just like this past week, I've been feeling just blah, like, but at the same time, I want to be making money and I want to be saving money and investing money. And, you know, I have plans for financial, success or other rental properties in the future. And that doesn't get an off day in my book. You know what I mean? And even like with real estate, you don't make money every day in real estate. You sometimes work for months and don't see a check. Like you don't see any money. You're spending your time, and then you get paid. So it's a different mindset that you have to unlock because it's not like you're leaving your shift with cash like I do with bartending. But I still look at it as working because I'm building something. I'm building my brand, my business into what I see for myself as a realtor later on in life. And I want to make a career out of it. And that takes work and determination. And it takes effort and sometimes embarrassing yourself. Sometimes, I mean, because I guess the world that we live in now, realtors are making videos and doing house tours and whatever, because we live in such a social media world. It's just a different ballgame. And I'm not saying that there aren't realtors out there that are super successful without doing this because they do exist. But for me, it's already something that I kind of like to do. I like to create, which, as you've seen with this podcast, I like to learn about technology and what's available to us. I'm not saying that I'm the best at it, but it intrigues me. I enjoy it. So it's almost like a fun little extra spin on being a realtor because I enjoy stuff like marketing and making flyers and stuff like that. So, I don't know. With that being said, there's a lot more to the job than just selling houses. And I could see why it's not for everyone because you don't get paid like a normal job. And that is something that you have to adjust to. Um, and everyone keeps telling me you get out of it what you put into it. And I 100% feel that way. I feel like I have put a lot into it my first year in real estate, and I've received so many blessings in return. And it excites me because there's so much more to come, so many more years of this thing that intrigues me and interests me. I I don't know. I get on here and I just want us all to realize how similar we are. And I know sometimes listening to people that are successful and motivated and excited about something inspires me. And I hope that I can do that for you while I'm also building this brand, essentially building my life, building all of this because I'm taking you with me essentially while I'm learning and growing and trying to navigate being an entrepreneur and being a realtor and being a bartender and just wearing all these different hats. And I'm not saying that I've made it even remotely close to where I plan to be in life, but I also would like to be able to look back on this podcast and be like, dang, look how far I've come, One of my friends, my best friend actually since high school, she used to tell me in high school, she would write like little notes to herself in her notebook about what was going on in her life at the time, what boy trouble she was having, like what she was enjoying, just stuff like that. And she would look back on it or stumble across it even at the end of the semester or later on in life and be like, I thought that was the end of the world and I overcame it. And that has stuck with me, which is why I try to journal. It's been kind of a long time that I've actually sat down and journaled, but occasionally I will, at least every couple months. I like to update my journals just to look back on my progress and my growth and my mindset, because I really am a firm believer in what you think you become. If you're thinking, I hate my life, I'm poor, I can't do this, I'm stuck here forever, I'll never get out of this job, I'll never get out of this relationship, I'll never be happy, I'll never have good friends, I'll never drive the car that I want, whatever. That's why you're stuck. And I cannot preach this enough. And I understand that there is a difference in, I feel like you also have to believe that it can happen and do the work that it takes to get you to where you're trying to be. I'm not saying you speak it into existence and it appears. There is work that is involved in that. But what you tell yourself every day becomes your truth. And I believe that. I I feel like I talk about this on every episode that I have. Little Haley, 15-year-old Haley, 14-year-old Haley, looking back at, who I was. And yes, it's taken a lot to get to where I am, but looking around at the beautiful life that I have created for myself, and not just financially, because I know that that's not the most important thing. It is important to me. That doesn't mean it has to be important to you. But, your friends, the people you allow in your life that you surround yourself with that are telling you, giving you advice. You go to your best friends for advice, or you talk about your problems with these people, and the energy that you're getting from them, your soul is holding on to that, essentially. So if it's a negative energy, whether you realize it or not, even a negative energy disguised as a positive energy, because I have seen that a lot too in my life. So it goes through, I don't know, weeding out a lot of the bad. And I think your internal dialogue is the most important thing to you, to being successful, to being happy, to being healthy. I think that is what will create your habits. That is who you are to your core. And I think it also goes hand in hand with who you surround yourself with. And recently, I have had a lot of people in my life come to me about, I don't know, come to me about being stuck. And I understand that feeling very well. I have been stuck before, whether it was relationships that I was scared to leave, jobs that I was scared to leave, things. It's hard to let go. It just is. I feel like we get stuck in our ways. We feel comfortable and we feel safe. And when I mean, even if you get out of the relationship and continue to date the same type of person, it's because it feels safe and secure to you because it's familiar. Like, that is crazy. And like your brain, how it adapts, like if you grew up in an unsafe household, like your brain grew up in this house where you weren't safe or you were always on high alert or whatever, that becomes familiar to you. And your brain tricks you into feeling like that's where you're safe because it's familiar. Like, that is so mind-blowing to me that, ugh, I don't know. It's just crazy. So after I was attacked, I started going to this therapist, and she told me that you have to rewrite the story. The story of, because I remember telling her, like, I feel like there's Haley before and there's Haley after. And it's like, I explained to, like, BC and AC, which, I mean, whatever. But she was like, no, that makes sense because when you go through traumas in life, like big traumas, they call them big T's and little T's. I'm pretty sure I've touched on this before, but your brain uses that as a milestone in your life. And sometimes it's not even trauma. It's like good things, like before I had the baby or after, or that was before I moved into that house or after. Like trauma can also be a milestone in your life. And when you go through something like that, that severely changes your whole perspective on life and yourself and people and humanity and men and just, I don't know. When you go through anything traumatic, I'm not just saying like somebody broke into your house and attacked you. I'm just saying traumatic things that make you question who you are. And it's crazy to think that just because somebody decided to break into my house and attack me while I was sleeping made me question anything about myself. But it did. And the way that people that I had in my life at the time treated me before and treated me after and stuck around, and personally, I think kind of did it for show because they were one way in front of people, and then behind closed doors, the way that they acted to me, like, we're not over this yet. We're still doing this. Yeah. So I don't know. Back to the trauma. Anyways. Yeah, but down to the point of the people you surround yourself with, right? That made me question everything in my life. It made me second guess the people I was surrounding myself with at the time. It took a little bit for me to get out of that, but I clung so close to something that felt safe and secure, and it wasn't even something that I was safe and secure in, but I thought it was because it was familiar to me. So my therapist told me, you have to rewrite the story. You have to rewrite the story that you tell your brain every day. I'm not safe. It's not safe here. Can't trust men. Can't live alone. Can't, you know, can't walk outside alone by yourself, which I don't recommend anyways, but I used to walk my dog when I'd get off work, you know? I mean, it's just it changed my whole thought process on things that I did on a day-to-day, did not even think twice about. So, yes, I had to rewrite the story. I had to get out of the rut. Obviously, that is an extreme example of a rut, but a rut is a rut, you know? And I went on a really deep soul searching quest to find myself. And I'm not saying that I did it in all of the right ways because there was a lot of bad ways that I was trying to find myself, and I was trying to find myself in other people. I was trying to find safety and security in other people because I just didn't know any better. I didn't know that I was capable of traveling, you know, not necessarily by myself, but like creating a trip, flying somewhere and creating this plan that we're going to go on this trip and do whatever we want. You know, I figured out I could do that. I didn't realize that I could live alone and feel safe and secure in my own presence without having somebody there. I didn't know that I could trust myself to pick people in my life that are going to be good for me and want the best for me and support me. I just wanted people. I wanted safety. I wanted familiarity. And that's not always safe. It might seem safe because your brain is telling you it's safe because it's familiar and it feels good. And you get those dopamine hits on what is familiar. It's like literally, literally, we're doomed. We're doomed because our brains are, if we're not doing it the right way, the brain can literally adapt itself into making it the right way. Not always. Obviously there's mental health and like in the mix in there somewhere too. But like to a chemical point, our brains, if they're not safe, our brain is like, but we'll find safety in this. We'll find familiarity in this. And that is like obviously survival instincts, but also so insane. So, yeah, I'm just constantly amazed at our bodies and how we adapt to our environment and how we can get so secure in something that is so wrong for us to the point to where we just stay stuck forever and we don't ever grow and we don't ever change because it's just safe. Hi, honey. What are you doing? You can sit with me, but you have to be good. No, you can't boop anything. Wallen is making an appearance. You probably can't see him. Oh, you see a little nose. But yeah, in the same breath that I say, we get stuck in what's familiar and what's safe, I also say, don't just leave like a job or a relationship because it's hard. That's not what I'm trying to say here at all. Because things get hard and it's healthy to work through them and to grow through them and to pick what's right for you. So, in the same breath I say, just because a relationship's hard doesn't mean you have to leave it because you're too secure in it. Relationships are hard and they take work. And when you're being treated fairly and Simba. Simba just charged at Wallen. I've never seen her do that before. Go lay down. I'm almost done. But yeah, I'm not saying that you have to leave something because it's hard. Oh, this is too familiar. It's hard. I got to go. Which I mean, isn't always a bad thing if that's what works for you. But I'm saying don't get stuck. Don't get trapped because usually as hard as change and growth is, even if it's forced, it's necessary. And it hurts. It hurts sometimes, especially emotional growth. God, it hurts. But it's necessary and it gets you to the next phase of your life. And I believe that. And sometimes okay. You got to be a good boy. We had to readjust a little bit. Okay. You got to be a good boy or it's not going to work. Okay. So as I was saying, this is Wawa. He just a big baby. But no, as I was saying, we get stuck, we get comfortable, and growth hurts. And I feel like the universe, God, the higher power, whatever you believe in, tells you when it's time to grow. And lay down. Lay down. Okay. Yeah. Lay down. And it's whether you choose to listen or not. I think every time that something, I don't want to say bad has happened, but something that was hard for me to go through, it was forced. It was a forced change that the universe made me listen. And sometimes I feel like that manifests itself in getting arrested or, your significant other cheats on you or your job. I don't know, I'm not in a corporate job, but something changes at work and you've taken on more and you get less pay and you keep taking on more and they're not paying you enough and you know my corporate girlies in my life tell me a lot of stuff like that, not just corporate, but just in the corporate world, I should say, that happens. And I feel like it like sets off a little red flag in your mind. It's like, at least for me, I'm like, okay, what did I do to get here to this point to where it feels like it's time for something to change, or it feels like, how did I get here? I feel like that's the universe being like, hey, maybe it's time that we change something. Whether you get a DUI or you almost get pulled over a couple times when you've been drinking and driving. You get a few jump scares, you know? And you're like, "Oh, thank God." And then you continue to do it and then you get a DUI. This is just an example. I'm not thinking of anyone in like specific, but it's just an example of like what I'm thinking. That's the universe being like, "Hey, maybe you should stop doing that." Or maybe those people aren't right for you to be around. Your friend starts talking about the private things that you tell her and it keeps getting back to you. Yeah, well, that didn't make me feel good that my best friend told you something that I wanted her to keep in confidence. You know, I feel like we have that intuition. It's just if we choose to listen to it and how often you listen to it, you begin to trust it. It's like a muscle. Your brain is a muscle and it needs to be trained and it needs to be told and exercised in healthy ways to create the healthy habits to get your reward system online with the direction that you're trying to go. And I believe that. And I might just sound like some crazy lady, talking about woo woo shit, and that's fine. But this is my podcast. So we're going to talk about some woo woo shit from time to time. And this is all, this all comes from a place of my life and things that I've been through and I've learned and things that I've observed. This doesn't come from books that I've read. It's strictly observation. So if I am saying some off the wall shit doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. This episode's probably not for you, but I believe it. And I'm going to stand on my soapbox and I'm going to preach it because I think it is real. So, and I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD. I do not have any kind of scientific degree or, this is all based on just my personal experience and things that I notice and things that I've seen and felt and believed and been through. And yeah, this is basically just me rambling about any of that. But I think I'm onto something. I don't know. Maybe not. But it's my podcast, so who cares? But yes, so we have to get out of our comfort zones in order to grow. And yeah, we hear that all the time. Get out of your comfort zone, blah, 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 blah. You either get out of your comfort zone or you're forced out of your comfort zone. And I have been forced out of my comfort zone many times. And as much as it hurts and it sucks, God, it sucks. And I think that I'm not going to make it through. And I think that I'm not going to, that I can't picture my life different than how my original expectations were. Yeah, it sucks. Now that I think about it, I cannot think of one time that I was forced to grow, and where I'm sitting right now, I am not grateful for that growth. I cannot think of one time. One friend that has had been forced out of my life, painfully forced out of my life. Boyfriends, painfully forced out of my life because my heart was broken, or I thought my heart was broken, but I had no idea what was in store for me. I had no idea how important it was for me to go through these heartbreaks that meant so much to me, this healing that I had to be able to experience to get me to where I am today, emotionally, physically, financially, you name it. And I think it brings it back to every time, brings it back to what you do with that pain, what you do every day, what you tell yourself. And I am a firm believer in it because I've been through it. I've been through it so many different times in different ways. And I've had to crack myself open in so many different ways, emotionally, spiritually, that I've, you know, that I go through these phases of growth where I'm like, "God, this again? We're doing this again? All right, let's hunker down and do it and do the work." And sometimes doing the work is not what you picture it to be. Sometimes doing the work is getting out of bed and going on a walk. Sometimes doing the work is crying. Sometimes doing the work is looking at yourself and telling yourself that you're capable. Sometimes doing the work is telling yourself that you're beautiful. Everyone's work looks different. And I'm not saying you pull out a workbook and you do the work, but hey, sometimes that is the work too. You know, I got my heart broken. I've had my heart broken a bunch. A lot of the times it was due to my own expectations that I had in scenarios that probably were somewhat made up in my head. And I think that's one of the disadvantages to being a dreamer is you can create someone into something that they're not. Those rose-colored glasses. You can create this whole beautiful storyline, this beautiful book of fantasy because it's not real, because that person's not really the way that you are portraying them to be. That is how strong our brain is. You can see all the beautiful things of this person, and you can create this whole beautiful, beautiful story with them, and then the glasses come off. And sometimes heartbreak is literally just your expectations just being shattered. You know what I mean? Like you wrote this story with this person and then the story has to change and you're like, "Shit, that's not the way I planned this story to be." You become attached to the story that you had with that person. So, I had my heart broken one time, one of many, as I said. Um, and this was one of the last few times that I got my heart broken. And all the times that I've had my heart broken, okay, obviously the first time was the worst because I was a child. And, my heart broke in two different ways because my heart broke because I lost a best friend, and my heart broke because I lost what I thought was the love of my life. But I was a child, you know? That was extremely painful because I'd never experienced anything like that before. Hmm. I just had an epiphany. Interesting. Um, but yeah, I'd never experienced anything like that before. So I went through that, and then, you go through these like minor little heartbreaks back and forth, blah blah blah, same person, blah blah blah. End of the story. So later on in life, after I've been through a couple different heartbreaks, after I've been through my attack, after I've been through losing friends, growing, changing, moving away from the place that I grew up, leaving my family, losing people, losing my grandmother. After going through all of that, I get my heart broken unexpectedly because I had created this story in my head, and I didn't think it was going to play out the way that I had planned for it to play out. So I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. All I could make myself do was get up and go outside and lay in the sun because I needed some kind of life brought back into me. And I would listen to podcasts about grief because I wanted to learn why this hurt so bad that this person did not choose me in their life. And I wanted them to so bad. Long story short, he did choose me. But you know, we are together now, but this was like in the beginning of our relationship, and I just remember being so torn up because I wanted so bad to be with this person, and I loved him, and I love him now still to this day. And I knew that we could have this beautiful life together, and I'd never experienced a relationship like we had had. Like I've talked about, I had a lot of growth back then that I had to go through. I had some relationship trauma, anxiety. I was a lot, and I know that, and I take on that responsibility for sure because I see the difference. But yeah, it wasn't working for him. And I just remember getting up and just having to go outside and just lay in the yard. And, there's a lot more that goes to that story, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just talking about sometimes all you can do for your work is all you can do that day. But it's still healing. It's still healing in the right direction. And grief is one of the hardest heartbreaks to go through. And that I still have to try to find peace in something that once was, like losing someone. That's a different kind of grief, you know. But it still takes work, and it still takes healing yourself. It's not easy. So, long story short, we have to get ourselves out of what's comfortable, what's familiar, what feels safe, only when necessary, only when you're not being treated fairly, you're not being paid appropriately for the time that you're putting in, you're being abused, you're stuck in a lower level of yourself. And I think that we go through phases and we grow and we level up to the next phase of our life, to the next person that we're supposed to be. So, with all of that being said, we're growing, we're forcing growth on ourselves when we're told it's time. We're leveling up into the next phase of the person we're supposed to be. And sometimes it sucks, and sometimes it's scary, and sometimes we don't want to do it. But when when your intuition is telling you it's time for a change, it's time for a change. And we need to listen to that. And we need to trust it. Because when you do, they say when one door closes, another one opens. And sometimes the closing of that door, a closing of a chapter is scary. And it's the end of an era. But life is so short and it can be so full and so amazing, and you can literally do anything that you put your mind to. Anything. Why stay? Why be complacent in a job that doesn't make you happy, or a relationship that you cry in every day because they talk to you like shit, or make you feel like shit, or belittle you, or whatever? Why stay? Because it feels comfortable? Why stay in the town that has nothing more for you? The business that told you this is as far as you can make it. This is the most money you can make right here. This is it. And that's okay? Okay. If that's okay with you, if you're content, that's fine. That's not what this episode is about, though. This episode is about taking the steps to grow into the person that you want to be. What does she look like to you? What does he look like to you? What steps can you take every day, even if they're baby steps, to get you into who you want to be, the person that you want to be, the things that you're capable of? Honestly, one of my toxic traits is probably me thinking that I can do anything. Like, it probably makes me look crazy sometimes because I will look at something, even if it's like, I don't know, there's like editing, the crazy shit that people can do with editing these days. I looked at a video before I saw how they do it. I was like, I can learn how to do that. I can do that. It's going to take some work, but I could do it. It's to a point to where I think it's a toxic trait because I'm like, I could do anything. I can do anything. And that is what I tell myself every day. And guess what? I'm going to keep doing anything and everything because I believe I can do it. And you can too. You just have to believe it. And you have to take the steps, and you have to love yourself enough to get yourself out of these situations that no longer serve you, and stop being around the people that don't make you feel good, that make you feel like shit, that steal the positive energy that you have, the people that aren't building you up and making you believe that you can do anything, making you believe that you are capable of everything that you want to do. The people telling you that it's not possible, those are the people you don't want in your life. Oh, I'm a realist. What the fuck is that? A realist? That's no fun. No, I'm a dreamer. I'm going to make that shit happen. I don't care if it's believable or possible. If I had believed that I all the things that I want to do or want to have or be weren't possible back when they weren't possible for me, I would not have anything that I have today. So let me be a testament to that. You know, you can do anything. It sucks to grow, but you're going to be so grateful that you did. You are going to look back from a place to where you're financially comfortable in a loving, respected, caring relationship with your best friend who you are excited to see every day and laugh with and hug and hold. You're going to look back at that person that you were in those different phases of your life where you weren't accepting the absolute best for yourself and be like, God, I wasted so much time. I wasted so much time being content and complacent in something that was no longer serving me. For what? For what reason? Because it felt safe. I don't know. You guys don't have to listen to me. But if you do, I hope that you do. I hope that you get to a point where you're like, man, I'm so happy that I took those steps to asking for the raise, quitting the job, getting out of the relationship. I'm so happy that I did that because I am happy now. Because really, that is all you have at the end of the day is yourself and what makes you happy and safe in a good way, not in a comfortable way, safe in a way where you actually feel safe, where you actually feel love, happiness, contentment, grounded. I do love you guys. I speak to you like I speak to myself. Like this is kind of therapeutic for me because these are the things that I need to hear for myself as well. I'm not preaching from a place of I'm better than you because that is definitely not the case. I'm preaching of a place of like, God, I've learned these lessons so many times. Let me be your big sister. Let me help you see the things that I've already learned so you don't have to go through them the way that I went through them. And shit, I'm still going to be going through this stuff, you know? But it all starts with you and what you tell yourself and how you love yourself and what you do every day to do that for you. And the rest will come. I really appreciate you guys for listening to me today. I hope this episode has resonated with you, and I hope that you guys continue to move through your lives with love for yourself and chase your dreams and grow and realize how powerful and strong and beautiful and capable that you are strictly because you are you. Thank you guys. I'm Haley Binkley, and this is Loading Her. We'll talk soon, guys. Bye.